It was May 2nd, 2004, approximately 11:30 a.m. And I was walking from my apartment with my girlfriend down this alley right here. And we were just sort of walking this way, and I looked up over at those phone lines, and we saw something that we really couldn't make sense of. It was a very shiny, metallic disc. I hate to say it, but that's what it was. And we sort of kept walking, looking at it, and when we finally got to the street corner, we kind of figured out that we were looking at something else. And at that point, I realized that I was only a block from home, where I could grab a video camera. So I did. I made the mad dash home, grabbed a video camera, and returned to the site where my girlfriend was keeping an eye on the object. And I commenced the filming. When we first saw it initially, it was large. I mean, it really did look like a hubcap hanging from the telephone lines, except it wasn't hanging. So we turned the corner here, and this is basically where we're just looking at it. And we're pretty much like, okay, that's not a balloon or anything we're familiar with. So we sort of kept walking to the corner and just stared at it for a while, until it hit me, that this was really something. There was a man also looking at it, sort of a bystander, and he said, wow, do you guys see that? And that's when I realized all three of us were looking at something extraordinary. And hence.
So where was it from here? Point.
From here, oh my goodness, we're relying on memory here, but I would say you're looking at a high angle up through those telephone lines up there. If you go to the top of that telephone pole, you look at it around that area. Well, that was the weird thing about it. I mean, that's what really gave us the idea that this was something else. What does that? It had a flicker to it, sort of a fluctuation. I don't know how to describe it, but from what we could see with the naked eye was just a metallic sheen. My girlfriend described it as almost a dark brown copper color, or I think a cockroach color, like the way you see a cockroach have a certain, I don't know, what is the word, a certain color to it when the sun hits it. And that's what we saw. But as it moved, you could see a sort of shimmer to it. I don't know how to describe it, but. Well, you know what? I actually took the time to download the video onto my own computer and look at it frame by frame. And yeah, it's even my girlfriend, who doesn't really believe in this sort of stuff, well, now she does, but she said she was the first one to point out, wow, it's spinning. I didn't want to believe it, but you look at it and it's spinning.
Consider the idea of a UFO arriving at Earth, which is allegedly a spacecraft coming to Earth from another star system. These craft would have to be able to go at least at the speed of light, which is 186,282 miles per second, which comes to 670 million miles per hour. Our fastest jets can do 2,000 to 3,000 miles an hour on Earth today. The space shuttle does 18,000 miles an hour as it orbits around the Earth, and the Apollo missions to the moon were in the several thousand miles per hour range. So we're nowhere near those kind of velocities on our current propulsion systems that we use for jets and for spacecraft. So when you consider the magnitude of these propulsion systems and energy systems, this whole presence, the whole UFO presence, beckons us with, for one, an energy source and an energy system that is far superior to anything we have on Earth, velocities that are far superior to everything we have on Earth, air superiority that is literally the most intimidating thing to our military. I mean, the very presence of UFOs, I think, is so terrifying to our military, because we suddenly realize that something out there, an intelligence out there, is so far beyond us. If they wanted to, they could literally take over the whole planet in a military sense. I mean, they could put us in a position where we would be subservient to them. So I think that's one of the reasons why there is such secrecy around the UFO phenomena, is our governments of the world do not want to admit that they're in a position where we could lose all power on this planet. Now, when we consider the amount of energy it would take in the form of propulsion to arrive at Earth, doing the speed of light on, our current approach to propulsion, obviously they would be far more superior to us. But how are they doing it? I mean, how are UFOs able to conquer these huge distances? How are they able to go at least the speed of light or beyond? Well, in a sense, there is a race to understand these propulsion systems, because the next person, the next country, the next military power that truly understands anti-gravity propulsion systems, that really masters it, will have air superiority on this planet. And that means that there is a race to understand this. If we lose that race, if the United States loses that race, then we stand to lose the superior military position on this planet. We could be taken over in a day if China or Russia were able to do even a quarter of the speed of light, or a tenth the speed of light. The tenth the speed of light is 67 million miles per hour. Anti-gravity technology, high-speed turns, sudden stopping, being able to accelerate beyond the vicinity of this country in a flash, means that we are going to be subjugate victims to this power. So to me, the idea that we're not studying UFO propulsion systems and UFO cases seriously in the United States, and in China and Russia, in their universities, they're actually taking the phenomena seriously. Are we willing to risk that? I mean, as a nation, are we willing to keep laughing at the UFO phenomena and saying that none of this is real, and laugh at it and say that, well, this has got to be a figment of somebody's imagination? But what we're seeing here in Venice, California, and Sonora to come is clear footage that something's going on in our skies that we cannot explain. And I really believe a very prompt and very serious investigation is warranted here in this case, and we've got to look much deeper into the phenomenon.
Welcome to the Los Angeles International Airport. One moment, please.
What I'm about to tell you is true. I've got clear video footage of a UFO captured over Venice, probably over the Marina Del Rey area, on May 2nd, 2004 at 11:30 a.m. It's clear footage. This is not an airplane. It's not a helicopter. It's a disc-shaped metallic object, and you can see this kind of spinning energy field around it. And I want to report it, and also, standard FAA procedures. If any unidentified aircraft enter our airspace, we're supposed to militarily intercept them until they identify themselves. And there was no such thing, so I'm wondering if you guys even got this on radar. There was recently this case all over the news in Mexico where they had 11 UFOs captured on invisible infrared, and 3 of them showed up on radar. But this just happened, right after that incident, and this is good footage. This has to be investigated, and we want to know what it is. So how do I go about getting someone to look at videotape and filing an official report on this with you guys? Because you're supposed to handle this. Easiest ways. But I've also taken, because I'm a digital filmmaker, I've taken some zoom-in stills at the different pulses in the wave formations, and that's where you get, there's a triangular dark portal on the lower right at about 5 o'clock. There's these, what looks like 6 or 7 panels that are not attached to the main spherical shiny object, and there seems to be a spinning wave around it. But I don't know how much footage is on the internet, but I could also maybe meet with you and give you a DVD and just take a look at it. I just want to follow this, but I'm concerned in the sense that I can't say this is from another planet or anything, but it could be some experimental craft. It could be, for example, during the 9/11 attacks, many people complained that the FAA did not respond, and Andrews Air Force Base was north of New York and there were no military jets present. And that's the concern in America right now. If someone is coming to attack us and they're unidentified craft of any kind, even if it's the Goodyear blimp, you know, you guys are supposed to be up there, you know, trying to do an intercept. And there's no intercept here at all. And this is a very strange looking object. What we did next in this investigation with we decided to, you know, show the Venice UFO footage to the FAA. We phoned the FAA up, and you know, we asked them, you know, first of all, would you check on radar and see on this time and date, you know, did in this location, did you detect anything on radar that you could not explain, and if so, you know, what did you find out? The answer we got was they searched the date and time and place and they found nothing. Nothing showed up on radar. So either that means that there's nothing there, which is what they would tell us, that everything is an illusion, or possibly we're just seeing some sort of optical illusion, and the classic answer we got in the end was that what you're seeing is probably a bunch of balloons. So what we did, what Patrick did, is he got a metallic, you know, disc-shaped balloon and released the balloon and let it go to see if there was any visual resemblance to what we actually filmed, what Patrick filmed in Venice that day, and an actual balloon. And when you look at this footage of the balloon, when you actually look at it, it's quite ridiculous because you can see the way the balloon moves. It drifts very slowly and it kind of fumbles about. It can't really hold itself in a locked position. When you look at the Venice UFO, you can see clearly it's solid, it's not drifting about, and there's these waves of energy spinning around it, very fast spinning waves. When you consider the low mass and weight of a balloon trying to spin against air mass that fast like a propeller, you can immediately see how impossible it is. And when you look at real footage of airplanes and helicopters and all the other answers the FAA tries to give you, that what you're seeing is not really a UFO. It must be either a flock of seagulls or a helicopter or, you know, something that can be explained. But when you look at the footage and you look at everything they're saying it is, from balloons to helicopters to airplanes, you can clearly see that that is not what we were looking at here. So I believe the FAA, you know, they did their job, they looked at it, but they didn't take it serious enough. So we sent them the tape, we sent them the footage, and the final answer was that we got no serious answer. There was no serious investigation done into the Venice UFO case.
It's time to get some Mylar balloons. Okay, well, for those who have never done it, I'm driving around with a bunch of Mylar balloons, and I can tell you it's pretty difficult. They're kind of swimming around in the back seat, but they're pretty fresh. They were just filled with helium at 11:40 a.m. Saturday, June 12th. It is now 12:08. I'm almost home. You can see them behind me. These things are freshly filled from Oz in Santa Monica. And we're on our way home now. Back here in Venice Beach. And first one is in the kitchen. And this is the bad boy. Oh yes. We have ourselves here a genuine UFO Mylar balloon. Let's see how it works. Okay, we are now back in my apartment with our two Mylar balloons. This is balloon one. You can see it's pretty fresh. It kind of flies around. It's flying around the house, and it's not really going anywhere. Okay, there we go. We'll be able to get this thing to go up. All right, what a beauty. This is the one. Okay. Here we go. And there's Gula. Hi, Gula. Alright, it's recorded. This is my wonderful neighbor Rick. He's helping me out to get this thing going. Now, conditions are a little different today. It's pretty windy today. It wasn't like that day. I don't know if you remember May 2nd, but it wasn't. You can even see the flag.
Rather good.
Well, that's good. I hope so.
Yeah.
Alright, well, let's see if we can do it without causing any major car accidents.
There we go.
Alright, so, what do you want to do? You going to go?
Like behind this.
Yeah, how about you see where that black truck is over there?
Yeah.
Maybe just from over there and see if you can just throw it up. See if it'll even go anywhere. Okay, brother, thank you. Oh man. Here we go. This is the official Mylar balloon experiment. So, across the street to that other one. That's good enough, I guess. Let's toss it up. And there we go, folks. Thank you. All right.
Another UFO.
This is awesome.
It got airborne.
Oh man, I can't believe they're coming.
Shoot it down.
All right, thank you. Let's see, where are you? Here we go. Okay, we got ourselves a Mylar balloon. It's going. It's too bad it's so windy because I don't want it to blow out of sight before we actually get a chance to get this thing.
Yeah, well, I tell you, it's getting a lot higher than I thought it would.
I hope it's not going to cause any accidents. All right, amigo, let it rip. Mylar balloon number 2. There we go. Oh yeah, that looks like it. That's almost what we saw. Okay. Mylar. I'm packing. I'm getting my stuff together. Camera bag and all that. I got Gula here, and I can't go anywhere until I take Gula for a walk. So we're gonna take a little walk, me and Gula. All right? Right, Pooch? Gula, come on, baby. Let's take a walk. Good girl. Oh boy, let me put this in there. We're gonna go. Hang on. Hold still. Hold still. Let's go. Oh, Key, what are you doing around here? That's Key. For me, it's time to head to Sonora. Let's do this. I'm sorry you can't go with us. I apologize. Are you gonna be all right? Okay. Good girl. We'll see you soon, okay? I'll bring you back something from Sonora.
Okay, on March 25th, my brother was working out and noticed on his back was this big bruise on the small of his back. And when I looked at it, there were 4 indentations on it in a diamond shape and 1 above it. I asked him what happened, and he had no clue what I was talking about. I took him into the bathroom. He couldn't see it. I went and got him onto my webcam, took a picture of it so he could see his back, and the first thing out of his mouth was, whoa. And that started it, but I didn't really make the connection that 2 days before that, he was waking up 2 mornings in a row with bloody noses. And it just every morning, bloody nose. Didn't really think much about it. Before that, I think it was a day or 2 before the bloody noses, my brother had come into my bedroom, woke me up, and said, "Mark, I'm not feeling good." And when I looked at him, it scared me. He was white as a sheet, and his lips were totally blue. I got him back into bed, covered him up, took his temperature, it was 96. A few minutes later, I took it again, it was 97. And that was just a little freaky, and it's never happened again. The same day, on March 25th, that he had the marks on his back, and I don't know what they are,
When I saw these marks, that same day I was taking pictures outside and captured what looks like a UFO next to a cloud. It piqued my interest. I started taking more pictures, got more weird objects, and it just seemed to roll downhill from there. Everything just started moving. I got so many pictures that on May 13th, I went ahead and bought a camcorder. The next day, May 14th, I was sitting outside trying to focus, practice with this new camera, had a jet in my sights, looking at it, seeing the contrail, and this object just drops out of the sky, does this weird maneuvering right underneath the jet, and it looked like it sometimes stopped on a dime, kept going, then shot back up and just disappeared. And 3 days after that, May 17th, I was sitting outside on my back porch. I was reading, I looked up, and there were two silver discs just hovering right above my head. And these things, one was a little bit below the other one. And they sat there for almost 10 minutes. I got them on videotape for about 7 minutes. They were very hard to focus on. I tried, and every time I tried to get close, it just got blurry. A weird blur. And after that, it just kept going. On May 31st, at night this time, sitting outside, noticed a light just bloom right over the mountain to my left. As I looked at it, I focused my camera on it, I noticed there were two lights. And they were traveling east, then turned south, and went right in front of us. And as they were traveling, there was a helicopter going the other direction, and this thing passed right by the helicopter. After it passed the helicopter, I noticed there were three lights. My viewfinder on my camera is black and white, and I didn't notice until after I looked at the footage that the lights were actually colored. And there were two red lights on the outside and one green in the middle. And focused on this one for at least 7 minutes as well. And it went all the way across the sky. And then June 5th, went outside, was sitting, it was daytime again, sat down, have a cigarette, started to smoke my cigarette, looked up, and directly in front of me at an angle like this was this cylinder thing hanging in the air top to bottom. And this thing, I looked at it and I thought, oh, there's a plane. I watched it for a few seconds and I noticed it's not moving. So I grabbed my camera, focused in on it. On the viewfinder, I focused in as much as I could, and I noticed there's no wings. This thing was just a cylinder. And I watched that for 4 minutes on videotape, recording it, and it just, all of a sudden, when I tried to stand up and get a better focus on it, it was gone.
On me, and now I can't find it.
After that, I believe it was, yes, June 10th, I got a bright light. There were three of us sitting outside, having cigarettes, of course. And this thing just bloomed out of nowhere, traveled a little bit across to our right, which was heading southward. We were facing east. And this thing bloomed. It looked like it got at least 3 or 4 times as big as it was first noticed, and then dimmed again and kept traveling across the sky, and I got it on videotape until it disappeared. So far, that's all I've seen so far. Okay. The first thing I noticed on my brother's back. This is a picture of my brother's back. If I focus in a little bit, you see the bruising around the back right here, which is what I noticed. Here's a close-up of it. As you see the indentations, there's one here, one there, one there, one there. These actually look like bulbs here. Bulbous, but they're actually indented. And this top one here. Now this top one became pretty much semi-permanent on his back. There's a picture of the bruise. This is with a webcam, so the resolution's not so good. But here it is again, and there's another mark there. Then I also noticed my brother was scratching at his ear, and that freaked me out, and I asked him, Jed, let me see your ear. Here's his ear, and there was this raw red mark on his ear, which happens to look a lot like one I have on the back of my ear. We also have had scoop marks in our family, at least these scars that we can't explain. This one is on my leg, inner left thigh. It has a triangular shape. Here's a close-up of it. The triangle here with what looks like melted edges. I have this scar I've had since I was about 6 or 7. I can tell you every single scar I have, and I've never known where I got this one. And it's also been weird that I've never really wanted to know until I saw it on a website that other people had these kind of marks, and it freaked me out. I told my mother about it. My mother also has the same mark, and I can go to the website and show you that picture if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. These marks have appeared on my mother when she was about 6 or 7. She does have a memory of what happened, sort of. She says she remembers something like a doctor's office. They were holding her down. They were telling her they were going to give her a shot. And she definitely didn't want this shot. What she remembers is screaming as they were holding her down, and my grandmother standing in the doorway. Now, my grandmother was just standing there, face impassive, just staring, not moving. And which is very strange for my grandmother, because she'd get hysterical if any of us even got a scrape. She would just go berserk. So having her just stand there doing nothing while my mom is screaming is a little weird. When my mom asked her about it years later, my grandmother didn't remember anything about it. Now, these marks have appeared for a very long time on my family. This is my mom's leg. Here's a close-up. It's a triangle. She thinks it was melted at one time, yet it's very faded now. Of course, this was over 50 years ago or so that she had her mark. Recorded on digital camera was this one. I was taking a picture of this cloud formation and noticed this object that was not there, or at least visibly to me. This object just appeared. And I don't know what it is. It's out of focus, but it looks so disc-like. That one freaked me out very much. So, can you stop it for a second? Where were we? Oh, then I got this picture. And as you can see, it's just a formation of clouds. This is the actual size, and over here was this object. I'm going to focus in on it. This is definitely disc-shaped. And this one totally freaked me out.
Is that the one with the X's on it?
This one, no. This was the second one I took. The one with the X's is, this is going to take me a second to find, was right here. This one, I was taking a picture of this contrail that the jet made and saw this thing in the sky, and as you focus in on it, it definitely takes on a ship-like formation with 3 darker spots that are portals or something. This object seems to have this line underneath it that looked like it was moving right when the picture was taken.
Hold that little guy in there, that little mouse.
Right here?
That little, yeah, I'm just going to focus on that. Oh yeah, those are X's.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, there it is. This is a close-up done. They enhanced it on the website, and you can definitely see either a diamond shape or a disc shape with some kind of weird wave around it. Plus the 3 that were X's are actually circles.
Wow.
And I can blow it up for you. There it is. It was these pictures that made me decide it's time to get a video camcorder. And on May 13th, I went and bought the camcorder. May 14th, as I'm practicing how to use it, is when I first got the jet and the UFO. This was May 14th.
This will be a shed. Not passenger flyer thingy.
This is our passenger thing.
flyer thingy.
Whoa. Holy shit,
Whoa.
there's another UFO.
Holy
So when was this shot?
UFO.
This was May 14th.
May
It was in the
14th.
camera. It was following the plane.
This is May 17th. This object was directly above my head.
Look at that thing.
What are you?
What are you? That's what it said. That says it all. Look at this thing.
This, no matter how much I focused on it, I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's interesting. I believe, as in the case of the Venice UFOs, because they're waveforms. You got mass and wave strobing. The waves are strobing so fast that the autofocus of a camera can't lock in on anything because the waves keep throwing it off. We tried doing tests with the Mylar balloons and airplanes and helicopters, and these cameras focus very well on them. But for some reason, the UFOs, I believe it's possible, because they're such pure waveform energy, there is nothing solid to look at. I mean, we're looking for a ship with a door and a latch. And these things are in a very, I believe, a very strong waveform state, and it just doesn't allow for that kind of visual, definition.
That was the first disc. There were two of them hovering above me. The first one disappeared, so I focused in on the second one. And now I'm just looking for the second one. And in a second, you'll see it come on the screen. One was hovering above the other. This one's higher than the other one.
Luminosity on that thing. It's just, and the dark sides.
Mm-hmm.
Freeze frame. Let's freeze frame this for a second. If you
All
can,
right.
When you got a good shot on it, right there, and let's try when it's zoomed in a little more.
There you are.
What gets me is the way it changes shape.
Yeah, I mean it's constant. It's pulsating. You can see the different.
Look at the wave around
Yeah.
it.
It's just
that-
like
that's what you're talking
now,
about?
Now notice the four or 6 points around it. Patrick's UFO in Venice has the same thing.
Whoa.
Remember in the documentary, you see the panels, what I call the panels around it, and those are what's spinning. Those are your spinning panels.
And you can actually see it
Yeah.
frame by frame moving
Yeah.
around the thing.
Yeah, but let's go to the one where you zoom way in big. It's huge. Let's go
Okay, so
fast forward it. You're gonna come in on it.
I love that one. Okay, let's see if we do it that way. No. Okay, come on. Zoom in again. There.
There we go, right there. Yeah, look at that. I mean, that's. And we were looking at this earlier, and this is similar, in a sense, to the long cylinder one, which we're about to see. It has the black sides, the very bright light in the middle. The light starts to fade, and if we look at wavelengths here, I mean, really, the brightest light is in the center, and the light gets fainter, and then we have this black kind of. In fact, when we look really closely at this, we can see these wave formations in the black mass, which I think, again, resembles their propulsion systems. Pure waveform energy. Craft.
What gets
Look at
me
that.
is that
But notice this one, and then the cylinder one is the same thing, but longer. It's got the dark edges.
and I can't get it focused. It
You
kept
can't
going in and
focus
out.
in on this thing. No.
Whoa, there were
Look at
colors
that one.
around it. Did you see those
Yeah.
colors?
Yeah, there's like an aura. Look at that thing. God.
Red, green,
Red.
yellow. I just saw red, green,
Yeah,
and
no,
yellow.
there's red right there.
Let's do that again.
Wow.
Look at that thing coming down from it.
Yeah, it's like a pulsing. It's almost like you'd almost think of it as a jet or some sort of a wave being strobed out of the bottom of it.
Yeah, and I noticed that the colors started before
Look
that
at
thing.
Yeah, look at that.
I wish I could get
Yeah,
the.
now just go frame at a time here. Look at this.
Look at the colors surrounding it.
Yeah, and look at the shape changes in here.
That is amazing.
I mean, it's not in a solid mass state. I mean, this thing is a waveform craft, and that's why you will not be able to focus on these things.
There's the colors again.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
seem to rotate around it.
Yeah, it's wave energy. It's just.
Oh, there was the
Wow.
green again. There's red.
Wow.
Whoa, did you see that? The color stayed here when it moved that way.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that was a
Yeah,
truck.
I think when I get these on a high definition system, I can look at them really close. It's going to be amazing.
Okay, let's see what happened to it. There it is. The amazing thing was watching this thing change shape. Flat disc, round circle, pulse-like thing.
Yeah, there is that long stretch of light shining
Yeah,
on it.
what is that?
Yeah. And what is it reflecting against? Now, when you hold that thought, that we saw this long strip of light hanging out of here, in the Mexican UFOs that were caught on the forward-looking infrared, you see the same thing. You'll see these two bright lights, the main UFO, and you'll see this reflected light coming out of the bottom of it.
Really?
But you have to wonder what is because this is daylight. I mean, what is it reflecting against? Yeah, there it is. I can see it.
Dang.
You can see it, and it's only when it's fast, but it's there.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. You can see it strobing underneath it. Whoa.
That was. I can't wait to see.
This is an incredible one.
Thank you.
This thing is incredible.
I couldn't. The neat thing is, in the background, you'll hear the wind chimes. Hear them?
There are two lights in the sky. Only one is getting focused.
It's windy, just enough, and these things were hovering over me for 7 minutes. Did
Right.
not move.
So obviously, I mean, when we looked at the Mylar balloon test, I mean, the balloon drifts and floats, and nothing in a balloon can be moving that fast because it's air mass on. It's mass against air mass, and it can't.
And you can focus on a Mylar balloon, and the fact that it doesn't change shape.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Mylar balloon does not change shape. So I mean, we're not looking at a balloon. It's obviously not a helicopter. It's not an airplane. So that leaves us with a UFO. I mean, an unidentified flying object. Now you can see that light coming out of the bottom.
And it's moving. This
Yeah. Whoa! I'd like to be able to. Actually, Brent, when it comes in and close again, we'll do a freeze frame.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. I can see it. I mean, it's like a beam of light coming out of the
There
bottom.
you are. There you are.
I still see it. The picture. Can you stabilize the picture?
Well, it's
Digitally?
not stabilizing it, but what you do is you can get really high resolution digital stills and move in on it and really take a good look at it.
Well, I'm gonna do this one.
Oh, they're disappearing?
Yeah, because from one frame to the next, it's
Okay.
just.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Here we are, right here.
I can't find the other one.
And where did it
This
disappear?
seems to be right before it disappears together altogether.
Oh.
It seems to phase in and out,
Yeah, like it was almost gone there for a second.
and then it'll come
come
back,
back.
and then
Other one.
it's gone.
And then let's see. I know it's up in here somewhere.
Yeah. Here, I went back a little
Whoa.
too far, I think.
Oh, that's all right. We'll find it.
But here's where I really notice how it changes shape.
Yeah. And oh, it was almost gone there for a second.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
There, I
find
did it
the other
again, and pretty soon it's
Oh,
gonna
it's
just
almost gone there.
there.
it goes.
It just disappeared.
Whoa.
Gone. Now, let it keep going. It's gone.
It's
No,
gone.
It didn't accelerate away. Now, hold that point because the UFO I saw in Berkeley in 1960, 68, 67, we watched a metallic disc for 20 minutes, much closer than that. It was that big in the sky, way up 3,500 feet, and it just gone.
Just
Way
like
down,
that.
Just like we just saw. And you'll see this in the NASA UFO tapes. You'll see UFOs just suddenly materializing in front of the camera. So that's their interdimensional shift. This is the point, I believe, where they take their mass, their steel, and once they vibrate into a spectrum of energy that we can't see, such as infrared or up in the ultraviolet or X-rays or higher, we only see from the color red to the color violet, so they disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So that's further proof to me that mass is converting into a pure electromagnetic energy.
You know what really scares me about these things, though, is after seeing one, I would get sick.
Really?
My head would hurt, my stomach would hurt, or felt like I wanted to,
Throw up.
Yeah, but it would only last a few minutes.
Well, that's what happened in the Cash Lanham incident in Texas.
What's that?
Well, Betty Cash and her son and grandma and my mother saw military helicopters chasing a UFO, and it was very hot and bright, and they got radiation burns, lost their hair, got very sick, threw up for weeks, and so that may It may, and they got burns on their knuckles and their hands.
I got burns on my hands that won't go away.
That maybe was causing the marks on your brother's body and your body and your mom. Is that when they come near, maybe when you're sleeping, there is an energy exchange, and that is causing some sort of.
That's why it look my scar on my thigh looks like it's melted.
Yeah, like it's melted because we're looking at radiation. Yeah, these are highly radiated craft.
No lights on this. All of a sudden, it just appeared over our mountain. When I thought it was one light, when I focused in on it, there were two of them. One brighter than the other. See, there was just one light. There was no FAA light, no blinking lights whatsoever on this thing.
Yeah, the FAA requires that all aircraft have identifiable blinking lights of different colors, which whenever you see a real aircraft, a helicopter, you have to have those lights, and there's no blinking lights there. So this is not an
And I've
FAA
took some
certified
comparison shots of airplanes at night with their lights on. In fact, one airplane had the blinking red and green light as it came over.
as it goes by this thing.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know it was a helicopter at first. I thought it was a plane.
Yeah. But this is a triangle. And describe how you understand. I mean,
At first, I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was either two objects or just one with two lights on it. But as you notice, there's a third light appears. It's very tiny. Can't barely see it. I didn't see it in the viewfinder. Now it's over the tree. There's a huge pine tree in the back.
Oh, okay, good.
Did you see that airplane going across the
Here's where I back up. There it is.
and
You see the blinking light on
there's
it.
the blinking light.
Right next to the
And it does it again.
Yeah.
Blink,
Flashing.
blink, blink.
What the hell is that?
And this
There's
is
three
solid,
lights
no
now.
blinking. And there's your triangle formation. And that's
Yeah.
obviously a triangle.
fuck is that?
And it was huge.
Huge.
Because it was behind the helicopter. The helicopter looked half the size of this thing.
Yeah.
It did.
And this thing was
Oh,
huge.
I gotta send this to Brian.
I didn't notice, but it has two red lights on the outside, one light on the green, in the middle. Green light.
That's incredible. That's an ominous sighting.
Okay, this is weird.
And you're listening to Art Bell right now.
Well, that's actually George Norrie. Coast to
It
Coast.
just went by that star.
Coast to Coast had just started when.
Well, you can see in the formation. I mean, this is the triangle spinning like this. I mean, you can see the positioning of the
Okay,
lights.
here,
This is-
Oh wow!
You see how the
Did it
positions
just go behind a
spin?
tree?
Now it just went behind that small
Yeah.
pine tree out there.
Okay, at my angle. Okay.
Oh, it's got to be huge. Because I know how far away that tree is.
You're about ready to leave that house.
Yeah.
And now it's gonna go right behind the apartment over here.
Wow.
Dude, this is a trip. Where'd he go?
It just disappeared on
Behind
me.
the house down.
Mm. It went behind the house.
Dude, Marcos, look at it. Marcos.
I've got it.
And what day is this? Look at how bright that is. Oh my God.
I've got it.
That was June 5th.
June 5th, which is a week ago.
Yeah. This was 10 days ago.
10:37 p.m.
10 days ago, June 5th. And I followed this thing until I couldn't see it anymore. But there's no way that was a satellite. I have comparison footage. The satellite looks as dim as some of these stars that go by this thing.
No, that's no satellite. I've seen satellites on the way. They're very faint. You can barely pick them out. And they're far away. Our satellites are, the shuttle flies at 300 miles above the Earth, so that's 300 miles away. And then you got to imagine how small a satellite is. Some about as big as this room, and they're even further. They're thousands of miles. We've got satellites 25,000 miles away from the Earth. Because if they're too close, their orbits decay and they fall into lower gravity. And it takes a lot of fuel to keep them out in orbit. So if they're way out there, and also satellites travel prograde, meaning with the curvature of gravity. They don't fight it. If they fight it, it costs them extra energy.
And this thing had just appeared out of nowhere, right in front of us, and traveled south. So it wasn't going east, it wasn't going west, it was going south.
Right. It wasn't going prograde.
Because I'm facing directly east and filmed us as it went across to the south.
So this is what you call the cylinder, and describe it.
When I first saw this thing, I looked up and I thought it was an airplane. It just looked like an airplane. It was so up there, a little thing. And I looked at it and I realized after a few seconds that this thing was not moving. So I focused in on it with my viewfinder and I wasn't recording it. I just focused in on it to make sure it wasn't an airplane and noticed it had no wings.
Yeah.
I have footage of airplanes where you can clearly see the tail and the wings, as well as the little engines.
Focus.
Well, they're not little, but... And this thing was just floating there, and I turned on the camera and started recording it.
Hovering.
And as you can see, that little black line across it.
Again, the very bright tube of light in the center, the light fades, and then the very black, sudden blackness on the edges. It's amazing. I mean, really, it's, to me, I philosophize about these guys as, imagine this long tube that is a waveform portal, and if this portal, interdimensional portal, which I believe is intelligent, comes towards you, as a consciousness, a human being, it can basically suck you through the portal and take you to another dimension.
That might explain people, the stories about them flying.
Mm-hmm. And abduction and being taken to another place. That is very strange. And how did it happen? They weren't picked up. They don't remember being picked up and taken.
Okay.
Anyway, it's just a theory, but this doesn't look like a solid craft. I mean, it looks...
It's 4:37.
I mean, it looks like something we've never seen. I mean, this, you can't explain something like this.
I don't know what the heck this is.
So let's let it run there.
You want to run...
Yeah, slow-mo. Look at that.
What gets me is the black part just starts at the top and goes down on each side.
Near some trees or something.
You can actually see it moving. Yeah, exactly. And that line in the middle.
Black points keep meeting in the center. I can see it right there on the edges. They keep meeting, and yeah, that's waveform energy. That's more evidence of...
And the line in the middle seems to go in and out in the middle of the cylinder thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
It doesn't work.
It's very strange looking.
What the heck are you?
Beyond anything I can imagine. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, personally, never.
Neither have I.
I mean, if we turn this on its side, we might think it was
Seems
a disc,
to be going very.
But this is straight up and down.
It's straight up and down.
And I noticed
the UFO also was disc shaped, but it appeared on its side like that.
I also noticed that as I was watching it, it was very, very, very slowly moving eastward, away from me.
It's moving downward to the camera. The heck?
It looked to me like a flying exclamation point.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to describe it other than that. A cylinder or an exclamation point with that line 2/3 of the way down.
Oh, there you are.
Almost looks like that.
I don't know what that is. I mean, I
don't know
call it a UFO because it's
I'm
unidentified.
gonna pause and I'm gonna get up.
It's
and
just,
see if I
it's
can
not.
get
It doesn't
some
look like a
trees or something here,
spaceship.
too.
It doesn't look like. I mean, what do you call
I can't.
this?
Okay, I'm gonna try again.
I was thinking, is it a probe?
This thing just
But it's
disappeared on me and now I
waveform. It
can't
doesn't
find
have
it.
solid structure to it. It's light. It's a column of light with these very dark edges.
And I know it wasn't reflecting the sun. The sun was directly behind me and to my left, yet this thing looked like it was glowing down at me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how the reflection could do that type of an angle.
Right. That's a good point. Okay, so let's stop the camera there.
This is my back porch, and from here, every single sighting I've had has been right in this area. There's nothing to the west, which is the front of the house. This is all facing eastward. There's Lion's Bulb Mountain right over there, and that's where the triangle appeared right above that, flew eastward, and then turned southward and went over these trees. That big tree right there in the video is what my friend witnessed there. He said that it's flying right over the tree there.
Right.
Just past the tree, right above those other trees, is where it met the helicopter. And then it just kept traveling and went behind this small tree right here. That's where it started blinking out, because it was going behind those funny arms of it. And then went behind the house. Directly up, right here, is where the two silver orbs were. The cylinder was straight out right there.
So you don't have to leave your balcony.
Not at all.
It's almost like they're on display for you.
Yeah, To me, it feels like every time I see them, I feel like they're watching me before I notice them.
Yeah.
And it's like we're watching each other. And I can imagine in my head, they've got a camera looking down at me, and I've got my camera looking up at them. It's really weird.
Why do you think they're interested in you? And talk about being a priest. What made you become a priest?
I became a priest because there wasn't any answers for the questions I was asking with conventional religion. I've studied Catholicism, Protestantism, I've studied Hinduism, I've studied Buddhism, I've studied Muslim religion, I've studied almost every religion I could get my hands on. Native American came close. So I studied a lot about Native American religions.
What are your questions that you have that are not answered?
The fact that there are things, say for instance in the Bible, historically, that if a primitive person were looking up and saw an object that was way out of their experience, and they call it a wheel of fire or wheels within wheels, that kind of thing drew me with all the things I've been seeing almost all my life, objects in the sky.
The visions of Ezekiel.
Yes, that would be one of the particular ones. There's also
Enoch.
pictures in the cathedrals of, say, the Virgin Mary. Behind her is this thing with fire shooting out of it. And yet, Catholicism or the Christian religions will not say what the heck that was. To me, it's clearly a UFO. They didn't answer those questions, and it is my own personal theory that whatever has been visiting us has been here for eons. And they somehow genetically manipulated our race into what we are. So in reality, they are our creators.
So they're probably coming back to check up on us and see how we're doing.
True. As if we were their children or as if we were lab rats, I couldn't tell. I have no idea. Sometimes I feel like a lab rat when I see them. Sometimes I feel like, okay, they're checking up. Hi, Mom and Dad, you know, that kind of thing. But there is no answer for me in those particular religions. So I thought if I became a priest, I could do the research myself and come up with my own answers.
Talk about the pillar of fire in Moses and look at the pillar of light we just saw on the tape.
If I were a primitive person in a culture that primitive and saw something so technologically advanced that it was so outside of my experience, yeah, I would call it a pillar of light or even a burning bush. How would you, I mean, this thing is reflecting sunlight or making its own light as it's sitting there, maybe even on the ground. Well, how would you describe it if you were a primitive race?
Well, fire is a metaphor for light in the old world because they didn't have light bulbs. We say light today because we have electronic light.
Mm-hmm.
But they had, fire was their metaphor, you know?
Mm-hmm. Or I've even heard primitive cultures, not in the Bible, but other primitive cultures saying the sun came down.
Right.
The sun landed. These things always intrigued me. The pictographs on the cave drawings of these things that look like they're wearing helmets and they have big eyes. These are thousands of years old. And how can we deny them? They're all over the world. They have a connection. If you put it all together, I believe you've got a puzzle, maybe with some pieces missing, but a puzzle of a hidden history of humans.
Do you know about the Zaytun apparitions in Cairo and Asiut?
No.
Where the Virgin Mary appeared in the sky and there's little orbs of light around her?
I remember you talking about that at Coast to Coast.
I'm going to show you the website.
Okay.
Let's go look at it.
Yeah,
we can go look at it right now.
Okay.
The website we're going to go to see the apparitions of Mary and also the orbs that appear around her is www.zeitun-eg.org. There you go. Now,
I think this is the picture I was talking about.
that's the picture of the Virgin Mary as she appeared over the church. Glowing
Whoa.
with light. 1968.
Really?
Millions of people saw that. Turn that music down.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's millions of people saw this. 2 million, over 300 apparitions over a 2-year period. The New York Times put this on the back pages.
That figures.
This is incredible. I mean, the Virgin Mary in a full-blown apparitions, documented healings, and notice the stone walls of the church becoming ionized.
What is this?
Now, hang on just a second. We are rolling. And see, notice the lights in the sky that appeared.
Do you notice the
And the cross
formation? Yeah.
And some people think they look like doves. I mean, look at those two lights above the church, shaped like doves. And this is UFO phenomena, just like you said, just like in the book of Ezekiel and the books of Enoch.
Yeah.
These things happen, but the church has no explanation.
What gets me, I wonder if they know about how our religion has developed and they're actually projecting. If they have such an ability with waveforms and light, they can project this kind of light into an apparition that would conform to our religion, and in a way that's a kind of mind control as well.
It could be if it's not real, but the way we know a real apparition is if the Holy Spirit is present, if the presence of God is there. And in this case, there were literally hundreds of documented healings.
Really?
That took place. So we know the Holy Spirit was present. So that could not just be a mechanical apparition from some sort of a projector, because you could never have the Holy Spirit present like that.
But there's also the factor of belief and faith. Because if somebody truly believes this apparition is what they believe it to be, and that they will be healed, I believe they have inside themselves the power to heal themselves through faith.
Up a second, camera. In 2001, the Virgin Mary appeared in Asiut. And now this time, we get color photographs. These bright balls of light appear. Her body of light appears. Again, there's healings. And the BBC reports 2 million people flood this small town to go see this. And in America, it made ABC's website, but they wouldn't run the story on television.
Wow, that figures.
Isn't that amazing? Total control. No, we don't want to know that anything of this magnitude is actually happening. This
at one time, it used to be that the news people actually researched and did news.
Yeah.
Now, it seems that somebody up at the top says this is what you're going to put on, and they just go with it, and they don't even write their own stories anymore.
I mean, this is incredible. You'll see in here video footage, photographs. 2 million people flood this town, and people are saying they saw the Virgin Mary with their own eyes, and we didn't know about it.
Well, just after you finished, just after David Sereda finished interviewing me and we were discussing the footage, he left and just drove off when I went outside, sat down, saw a flash in the sky, and looked up, and I thought I was seeing a reflection of the sunlight on an airplane. When I looked through it, my viewfinder at it, it turned out to be 3 lights in the sky. I started yelling at him.
He did. He was yelling at me.
I kept saying, "It's right there! It's right there!" He said he couldn't see it, and I started yelling, "Please, go call David back. Call him back. Call him back. Call him back." And he's like, "Well, he's already gone."
Rub it in my face. Keep rubbing it in my face. That's right.
Yeah. And where were you looking, Patrick? You were out there.
Yeah, I was out there, and he saw it, and he initially claimed it's got to be an aircraft, and that's what I sort of stood down. I kind of put my camera down, and then I heard his voice rise. There was a tone of alarm in his voice. He said, "Oh no, I've got 3 points of light," or what was it that you said? I've got a triangular shaped craft.
I've got 3 lights.
There we go, 3 lights.
Formation.
Volume.
Oh my
You want to
God.
rewind?
Where are they? It's above the tree line. It's moving to the south again. There's no FAA light on that thing.
Going.
I was so excited.
Go get him. Go get him. Go get him. Go get him.
They're gone.
Call him on the phone.
I can't believe I missed it.
Yes, this is. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's really happening.
What the hell is that?
Are you sure?
Yeah. You sure it's not a
There's no FAA light on it.
No, that's a
That's going behind the tree now.
Behind those.
Yeah.
Which one? The big tree?
That pine tree right in front.
Well, that's what makes it a world-class
That
shot
little
right there.
pine tree.
That's not near
It's
field
behind those
debris or anything.
branches.
It's
Right,
behind
right.
the
You
tree.
didn't see
Can't be
it?
swamp gas.
It's not swamp gas.
That's right.
The other thing was that somebody asked me if that was when it went behind the tree, if it was going backwards and then forward, and that was just an optical illusion of the tree in front of it
Swaying with
moving the wind.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, but they were wondering if
But
it
this
actually
is the
went
first.
backwards.
I mean, this is a daylight triangle. I mean,
That's
how
correct.
do you guys feel to have been there to capture the world's first
Oh
daylight
my god! Oh my
triangle?
god! Oh my god!
Well,
I think Art
oh
Bell
my
has
god!
heard nighttime triangle stories, and we had the Phoenix Lights, which was a giant triangle, but this is a daylight triangle.
Dude, get your camera. I've got 3 lights in a triangular formation.
Oh, my friend, I wish I could even see it. You got eyes like a hawk.
Oh my god.
Where are they?
It's above the tree line. It's moving to the south again. There's no FAA light on that thing.
Keep going.
Go get him. Go get him. Go get him. Go get him.
They're gone.
Call him on the phone.
Are you sure?
Yes, this is, oh my god. What the hell is that?
Are you sure?
There's no FAA light on it. It's going behind the tree now.
Which one, the big tree?
That pine tree right in front of me. That little pine tree.
Yeah.
It's behind those branches. You didn't see it?
In the late 1980s, I had a long conversation with NASA's head of propulsion, power, and energy, Dr. Earl Van Landingham. We were in this huge discussion about nuclear fusion, and in the end of the question and debate session about this particular type of nuclear fusion, I asked Dr. Van Landingham, has NASA ever made contact with extraterrestrial intelligence? Have you guys ever seen UFOs? You know, what's going on here? And he said, no, when you consider the amount of energy it would take in the form of propulsion for a spacecraft to be doing the speed of light from our nearest stars, Alpha Centauri A and B, are 4.3, 4.2 light years from Earth. That means doing the speed of light constantly in a steady stream of movement without stopping for tea and donuts and dinner all the way from that star system to Earth. It would take 4.3 years to get here. Sirius is 8.7 light years away, so it would take 8.7. That's at the minimum. If they could be doing even 99% the speed of light, the energy required to go that speed would be so massive, Earl Van Landingham was saying, that every amateur radio astronomer in the world and every astronomer in the world would see this beacon of a ship just moving towards the planet Earth at this tremendous speed. And he said we would see the signal, the energy signal, well in advance of the arrival of the spacecraft. And we have never seen anything like that yet, he had said. Now, you could never hide an event like this. I mean, this is something that he's saying that everyone would see. So what does Earl actually mean? How much energy does it take to get mass or spacecraft to even do 99% the speed of light? Well, in particle accelerators, we accelerate the subcomponents of atoms, protons and electrons and muons. We can now get them in these giant synchrotrons. We can accelerate them up to 99.99% the speed of light. And the energy required to get matter at that velocity is 1 trillion electron volts or greater. Well, that is such a staggering amount of energy. When you consider that when we tested nuclear bombs and we exploded the bombs in Nevada in the first day we were testing nuclear weapons, that those bombs released a total energy of 200 million electron volts of energy. That's the energy intensity. 1 trillion is 5,000 times more energy than the bomb. There are no feasible nuclear fuels or materials today that can produce energy levels of that magnitude in a steady stream for propulsion. The best we can do is 200 million with nuclear, the explosion of plutonium, uranium, and plutonium. That's what we get is 200 MeV. Nuclear fusion technologies like helium-3 can produce 18 MeV, 18 million electron volts of energy. And you get, of course, much lower energies with different types of nuclear fuel. So there's no fuel today that can produce energy levels that high. The main reason that mainstream scientists do not take the UFO phenomena seriously is they do not see craft entering our atmosphere on the basis that we're presenting here, that they have these huge amounts of energy, giant thruster engines, and these things are moving at 99.99% the speed of light. We've never seen a signal like that yet. So you got to wonder, is the whole UFO phenomenon an illusion? Is it real? And if it's real, why aren't they following the method of propulsion that we're currently used to? And the answers become very simple. When you actually look at the idea that if you could accelerate a rocket with tremendous thrust power of 1 trillion electron volts in ion propulsion system drives, if we could actually do that, say you could get a spacecraft to do even 1/10 the speed of light, which is 67 million miles an hour. Imagine doing 67 million miles an hour and suddenly an incoming asteroid is coming at you and you have to turn right. The G-forces on a turn at that velocity are going to destroy your spacecraft and absolutely crush and destroy the pilot. And in fact, even at that velocity, it's possible you're going to destroy the pilot before you even get there. If you collided with even small objects the size of a dime or a quarter, it's going to tear your ship to pieces. So to me, there's no way in the world that this is the way these ETs are doing this. I mean, when we see reports of UFOs, we hear stories of UFOs suddenly stopping on a dime, sudden accelerations, high-speed angular turns, all sort of phenomena that if you think of even doing 70 miles an hour down the highway, heading south on the 101 out of Los Angeles, and suddenly you decide to turn right on the exit, very suddenly, the G-forces on the turn are going to throw you through the windshield. The more and more I look at case studies of UFO phenomena, I believe that they're approaching this thing from a completely different angle, a completely different way than we're headed, the way even our greatest philosophers and physicists are projecting that they're doing it. Some of the ideas today are, for example, wormholes. Wormholes require the negative energy of 100 million suns, the negative energy that they put out for an entire year. There are 100 million suns in our galaxy. Our galaxy alone, the Milky Way galaxy. Imagine all of the negative energy every sun in our galaxy puts out for a whole year to make one wormhole with a narrow snout enough to fit a quarter or a pencil through. As that snout gets wider, the energy required is even larger. We think of exotic ideas like Bob Lazar, who said he saw craft at Area 51, is saying that they're using gravity generators, and he actually believed initially that these craft were using an exotic element known as element 115, which is capable of producing energies high enough to get maybe 80-90% the speed of light. But again, he's talking about a fissile nuclear fuel that can produce energy levels that high. And again, if they were doing it that way, we would see these mass craft, moving through space at these incredible velocities, and we'd be able to detect those signals well in advance of the arrival of the spacecraft, just like Earl Van Landingham had stated at NASA, and we've never seen anything like that yet. So when we go through exotic ideas like Robert Lazar's, and even the idea of creating gravity generators, we have to understand that gravity is the most misunderstood and undiscovered area in nuclear physics today. Of all the nuclear forces, gravity is not truly understood. We have not found the graviton. We do not understand anti-gravity. We cannot duplicate gravity in gravity generators yet. We're still working on the problem. But if you look at the problem of gravity in Einsteinian physics, if you're going to increase gravity or create a gravity generator in a craft, you have to increase its mass, because gravity and mass are proportional. Now, if you had a gravity generator in your craft, and even though your gravity of your craft could hold your body and your craft in place, when you're going even 1/10 the speed of light by a planet, by the sun or another planet, the gravitational forces on that planet and sun are going to affect you. You're still going to get G or gravity forces on your body. You cannot make sudden stops and high-speed angular turns if you have a gravity generator, because you still have mass. So with all of the problems on the current approach to physics and propulsion, I believe, in essence, what these craft are doing is taking their solid mass and transforming mass into a quality of light. In essence, I call it reducing the weight charge or mass effect of the craft. We're not changing the protons, neutrons, and electrons in that mass state, in the atomic structure of the craft, but we're actually reducing the effects of mass so that the craft actually resembles what I call a zero mass principle craft, meaning it has no weight charge. Now, if we run a zero mass spacecraft through Einstein's formula equals mc squared, if energy is equal to mass times the speed of light squared, if the mass of your spacecraft is zero, then the energy required to go the speed of light and beyond is also zero. So what I believe they're doing is they are transforming their solid mass into pure waveform or light energy. Once they're in that state, they're able to, if you're zero mass and your pilot is zero mass, your craft is zero mass and your pilot is zero mass, you can suddenly stop on a dime and experience no g-forces. You can suddenly accelerate and experience no g-forces. You can bounce off the walls and turn right and experience no g-forces. And you can attain the speed of light on tiny impulses of energy. Initially, a gravity or wave generator, I believe, in the center of the craft would have to transform the mass of the craft with waves. Waves of actual electromagnetic energy are going to have to do this to the craft. You're not going to see rockets. You're not going to see thruster engines. There are no reports of loud thruster engines and rocket engines around UFOs. All you see is solid metal craft or pure waveform or light energy, levitating above the Earth, defying the laws of gravity, defying all the laws of physics. Now, if this theory is correct, I believe a very deep investigation should be, brought into the concept of actually how you transform mass into light. And I think I have some very profound ideas on how that process takes place. But once you can consider the idea of a craft turning itself into pure waveform energy, all it has to do is start to vibrate into higher waveforms of energy, higher than, for example, the human eye sees from the color red to the color violet. We see white light energy with the human brain in most of our optical cameras, and that means from color red all the way through the rainbow spectrum to the color violet. Beyond ultraviolet, you have ultraviolet near, far, and extreme, and above that you have X-rays and gamma rays. Now, once a craft jumps into these higher dimensional frequencies, it can be invisible to the naked eye, which means you cannot actually see it. That means it could be traveling to Earth at light speed and beyond, but we wouldn't see it with normal optical cameras. We would only see it in invisible spectra of light. You might also see it down in the infrared, which is another invisible area of the electromagnetic spectrum. And once those craft are traveling at these, way beyond the speed of light velocities, when they get near the Earth or even in the Earth's vicinity, they can remain invisible. But when they want to become actual visible, they can slow their frequency of their waves down to a spectra that we can actually see. Now, all throughout the UFO, recorded video footage you're going to see in the California cases, in Sonora, California, Mark Olson and Patrick Uskart's footage in Venice, California, you're going to see solid mass craft, but you're also going to see wave distortion moving around it. The waves that you're seeing moving around the UFO, I think, are evidence of what I'm talking about, that they are actually using waves to magnetic waves to transform mass into pure waveform or light energy. I really believe that the closer you look at the phenomena, you're going to see more and more evidence of that concept. Although the very details on how you would go about transforming mass into light are very precise. I have more work in my other film, Evidence the Case for NASA UFOs, which people can see at ufonasa.com.